Imagine receiving $1,200 in the mail every single month, no strings attached. That's the promise behind a growing movement pushing for a national guaranteed basic income. The idea isn't new, but in just a few years, it's gone from fringe to mainstream. In cities across the United States, hundreds of pilot programs have already rolled out, handing out monthly checks to residents in need. The results? Better health, safer housing, more stable lives. And now, those same experiments are laying the groundwork for something much bigger, a nationwide program that could benefit the vast majority of Americans. Why is this happening now? Because it works. These monthly cash payments, often ranging from $500 to $1,200, are producing real, measurable improvements in people's lives. Participants report less stress, more stability, better food on the table, access to healthcare, transportation, everything that helps someone not just survive but live. It sounds simple because it is. Give people money with no conditions, and they will use it to meet their most urgent needs. Over 150 cities and counties across the U.S. have already implemented or are testing guaranteed basic income programs. That's a massive increase in just a few years. Before 2019, the concept of guaranteed basic income was almost unheard of in America. The first widely recognized program started in Stockton, California. That single program sparked a wave of interest. Now, there are programs running in states from coast to coast funded by local governments, nonprofits, and research institutions who all want to see what happens when people are trusted with direct financial support. What they've discovered is exactly what you might expect. When people are given unconditional monthly income, they make better choices for themselves and their families. They spend more time caring for their children, taking care of their health, or even pursuing education or job training. It turns out people know how to manage their lives. They just need the means to do it. Now, we're seeing momentum build towards something even more ambitious, a national monthly payment plan that could send $1,200 checks to a huge percentage of the population. A proposal called the Support Act is currently under discussion. If passed, it would provide $1,200 every month to individuals earning less than $75,000 a year or $150,000 per year for couples. That's not a narrow group, that's around 85% of Americans. Millions of people would qualify for these payments. The Support Act isn't just about handing out money, it's about laying the foundation for economic stability in a rapidly changing world. One of the key ideas behind the Act is launching hundreds of pilot programs across the country. These would be used to further study the effects of monthly income payments in different communities, with the goal of gathering data and fine-tuning the program before scaling it nationally. And here's the truth, this isn't a radical idea. In fact, we've already done it. Think back to the stimulus checks during the pandemic. Those were direct cash payments, one-time advances on refundable tax credits. The difference is, those checks came just once, or at most a few times. What's being proposed now is to make that kind of support permanent and predictable. Instead of a one-time relief effort, people would receive monthly help they can count on. The structure could be similar. The payments could be treated as advances on refundable tax credits, just like the stimulus checks were. But instead of waiting for tax season, people would receive that money up front. It's not some handout. It's a reimagining of the tax system, one that supports people throughout the year instead of once annually. All of this is happening at a time when the economy itself is transforming faster than ever. Automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, these technologies are changing how work gets done and who gets to do it. Jobs that existed just a few years ago are disappearing. Others are being replaced by machines and algorithms. Entire industries are being reshaped in real time. It's not a matter of if mass job displacement happens, it's when. That's why this conversation about basic income is so urgent. We need to establish a safety net that's strong enough to catch people when their jobs vanish, not because they did anything wrong, but because technology outpaced their careers. And we can't wait until it's too late. The groundwork has to be laid now. There's already evidence of this shift happening. Consider the labor disputes that are increasingly centered around automation. Just last year, dock workers went on strike for 3 days. Their concern? They were being replaced by automated machinery. This wasn't a debate about wages, it was about survival. People across industries are recognizing the threat of automation, and they're pushing back because they don't want to be made obsolete. As these trends accelerate, so too does the need for a national income floor, something that guarantees basic economic security for everyone. Guaranteed basic income is one solution. It doesn't replace work, it supplements it. It provides stability in a time of uncertainty. And it's not just for the unemployed. The reality is, many people who are working full time still struggle to pay rent, buy food, or cover medical costs. Wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. For decades, economic growth has benefited the top of the income ladder, while everyone else has been left behind. Basic income is a way to rebalance that, to provide everyone with a share of the wealth they help create. Think about what $1,200 a month would mean for most people. That's groceries, that's rent, that's medication, that's gas in the car to get to work. That's one less worry, one less crisis waiting around the corner. And for families with children, there's an added benefit. The Support Act also proposes an extra $600 per dependent per month. That means even greater financial relief for those raising kids in an increasingly expensive world. Of course, critics argue that basic income could discourage work or lead to inflation, but the evidence so far tells a different story. In the pilots already conducted, recipients didn't quit their jobs. In fact, many found better employment or started small businesses. The extra income gave them the stability they needed to take risks, invest in their futures, and escape the paycheck to paycheck grind. As for inflation, these payments wouldn't necessarily add new money to the system. If structured as tax credits, they'd simply redistribute existing funds more equitably. The goal isn't to pump the economy full of new cash, it's to ensure that more people have access to the cash they need to live with dignity. And let's not forget the broader economic impact. When people have money to spend, local businesses benefit. Communities become stronger, people are healthier, more productive, and less reliant on emergency services. In the long run, basic income could even reduce the strain on social safety nets by preventing crises before they happen. It's not a magic bullet. It won't solve every problem, but it's a powerful tool, one that we're beginning to understand better with every new pilot, every study, every success story. The idea of a national guaranteed basic income is no longer theoretical. It's being tested, refined, and seriously considered at the highest levels of government. And we should expect to see more of this. More cities experimenting with monthly payments, more research validating the outcomes, more support building among voters who are tired of watching economic security slip further out of reach. The truth is, the economy is evolving, and our policies have to evolve with it. We can't keep relying on outdated systems that leave millions behind. We need bold solutions that match the scale of the challenges we face. A national monthly income might sound bold today, but in a few years, it could be the new normal. That's why it's so important to stay informed and engaged. Understand what's being proposed, follow the legislation, share the facts, because change is coming faster than most of us realize. And those who are informed will be the ones who help shape what comes next. Guaranteed basic income isn't just an economic policy. It's a statement about what kind of country we want to live in, one where people are trusted, one where everyone has the opportunity to live with dignity, no matter their income, job, or background. And as the evidence continues to grow, so too does the case for turning that vision into reality. Another reason guaranteed basic income is gaining traction is because it restores a sense of control to everyday people. In a system where most benefits are tied to strict eligibility rules, long application processes, or employment requirements, people often feel powerless. But basic income flips that script. It doesn't ask people to prove they're desperate. It assumes that people know what they need and gives them the freedom to make their own choices. That kind of autonomy is rare in today's economy. Most government programs are reactive. They step in after a crisis has occurred. Someone loses a job, then applies for unemployment. Someone gets sick, then struggles with medical debt. But guaranteed income is proactive. It prevents those crises in the first place by ensuring people aren't living on the edge. It also addresses economic inequality in a direct and visible way. When the majority of new wealth created over the past few decades goes to the top 1%, everyone else gets squeezed. Basic income doesn't just redistribute wealth, it redistributes opportunity. It gives people the breathing room to explore new jobs, start businesses, take care of loved ones, or simply rest without falling behind.